I just dripped really cold water on my sock.
And there it is.
Well,
There's the open.
It is Tuesday, let's see, August 13th. Tuesday the 13th. And this is the Ponderland Podcast. I'm Jordan.
I'm Joey.
And we are Happy Place Explorers.
Am I looking at the right side? No,
Should we do like the back-to-back comedic, like this guy?
Wait, I'm doing it on the wrong side though. I'm always on this side of you, right? You're on that side.
You can flip it in post.
That's it. And then we gotta be like...
Get a load of him.
Crazy. Was that worth our 40 seconds? Probably not, but...
No, but...
We're off.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I am doing very well. I am a recent annual pass holder, officially, of
correct.
Walt Disney World. So that is pretty exciting.
You had a whole adventure vlog and everything.
I did. We went to Epcot.
It was good.
It was, it was one of the shortest visits I ever had to Epcot. But it's, it's still just sort of getting used to that whole grind of going in the free time.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely different. It's going to feel less and less like a vacation soon. You're going to be like, whoa. And that's not a bad thing, but it'll feel less like a vacation. You'll be like, oh, this is just visiting neighborhood Disney World.
Right. But it literally is in the neighborhood. Me and my wife Tiffany, we've gone so many times just in the last week. And it's cool because we don't have the pressure of we got to see everything. Mm-hmm. Still have not been on Space Mountain. Been a pass holder for almost a week, and I've not been on Space Mountain. But you know what? I'll get there when I get there.
Wow.
Isn't that just a weird frame of... It sounds kind of gloaty, and I don't want it to come across gloaty, but it's just a different perspective that I suddenly have now.
That seems accurate. It doesn't sound gloaty to me.
It's the biggest learning curve between Disneyland and Disney World for me has been the Fast Pass system. Oh. Fast Pass is awesome over in Disneyland, and then if you can add Max Pass on top of that, you have like the perfect way to maximize your day. Mm-hmm. But here, it's a little different. I am still getting used to the Fast Pass system, as you have to reserve. You can like literally reserve your Fast Passes for annual pass holders 30 days in advance, but people who are coming for vacation get them 60 days in advance. So it's really hard to get those hot like e-ticket rides.
How does it, so when you go to open up the app and like to get a Fast Pass, what does that look like? Like, is it just an app, or is it like, does it have all the options on it?
It's just like Max Pass, and you open it up and then you sort of pick you start with the date, then you start with the park, and then you say, I'm looking at a time frame of from here to there. It goes by half-hour increments. So it's like, I know I'm going to be in the park at 6:30 tonight, so let's see what's available around that time. And it'll show you everything that's sort of within that time frame.
And they're all booked up?
A lot of that bigger ticket attractions. Like I've not seen Snow White's Mine Train or Big Thunder. Space Mountain a little bit. Flight of Passage has been completely booked. And I don't know what happened, but today I got on at the right time and managed to nab a Flight of Passage Fast Pass. And so going on, having it right up the road, me and my wife, we went to literally just ride. We went to Animal Kingdom to literally just ride Flight of Passage.
Wow.
And it was amazing.
I was going to say, was it worth it?
It's like I'm trying to think what my cap would be for riding it or actually waiting in line. And I know there's a lot of queue elements that we miss by doing it Fast Pass, but once we were actually in the ride, it's like the best parts of Soarin' meets the best parts of Star Tours, and they sort of fuse.
Well, cool. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, it'll be the first of many for sure.
I have never... it has been a long time since I've been back to Animal Kingdom.
Well, come on
just
over.
in general. Well, I'm working on it.
I think Animal Kingdom of the four is, as just like walking around, it's the best looking park by a mile. And that's coming from someone who loves the futuristic sort of 80s retro futuristic look of Epcot. Mm-hmm. I love that. I think Spaceship Earth is one of the best architectural, achievements in the park. But man, I love wandering through Animal Kingdom. You really feel immersed. Not even if you're just in Pandora, but just in the whole scape of the whole thing. You feel truly immersed. I love Animal Kingdom.
That was the one I always wanted to go to the most when I was a kid, but a lot of that was because the dinosaur attraction was there, which I really wanted to see. And then we went, and it was it was great. I just felt like that was the park that we were at the least while we were there. It felt like we were rushing through that thing.
And I think at that time there just wasn't as much to do there.
That was either the year before or the year after. Well, it definitely was when it was there, but Expedition Everest had just been built, I think. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, we...
My, how we've grown.
Yeah.
My, how we've grown, Joseph, in this time.
You have
this
a British
time on the
accent
Ponderland Podcast. When I get nostalgic and memorable, I drift into a McKellen kind of... This isn't McKellen. What is this? This is... British.
It is. It's proper
British-ish.
British. Yeah. You could do, what's his face? Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins.
Oh, right, I could. When I'm feeling nostalgic, I make a rhyme.
You want to get into some theme park themed news?
I would love to get into the topic of theme parks.
It has been a second since we've done a Ponderland podcast, and there was a lot of big theme park news since then. And the first story we should probably dive right into, you might call epic.
Epic.
Like what you would name a theme park.
Epic? Like a whole universe of theme parks.
Almost.
An epic
No, that's
universe.
exactly what it is.
Is this Universal saying, hey, I see your Disney World, and I'm going to up you a Disney or a Universal universe? Or is it just tying in Universal and universe? Maybe it's twofold. I have not thought about it until this moment.
I'm sure somebody out there had that exact revelation while they were thinking of a name for a theme park.
It works on
Guys,
two
if you
levels.
haven't caught on yet, what we're talking about is Universal Studios in Orlando announced a fourth park, which...
I count it as a third park.
No, it's not a third park.
Third and a half.
You'll have to go to Volcano Bay now that you're out there, and then you will decide if Volcano Bay is enough to be a full park. But based on the videos I have seen, that park looks awesome.
Volcano Bay.
Yeah. So
Meh.
I'm going to call it a fourth park.
Agree to disagree.
Okay. Well, Universal Studios is building a fourth theme park in Orlando, Florida, called Epic Universe.
And that's, I think, we've known that this was at least on the horizon or coming for at least a little while.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Obviously, they didn't officially announce anything before this, but they had cleared out a giant. First of all, they bought a giant plot of land. That was step one.
Right.
Then they cleared out said plot of land, and everyone's like, "Oh, what's going on there?" And so that set off all sorts of red flags that something big was coming. And then, yeah, you're right. It has been known for a while. But the thing that wasn't known was obviously the name and an opening date or anything. And unfortunately, we still don't know any of that except for the name.
Epic Universe, which I know it's been... I kind of prefer that over the other rumored title, which was Fantastic Worlds.
Really? I think I prefer Fantastic Worlds.
I don't know. I think Fantastic Worlds alluded too much to Fantastic Beasts, maybe because that's fresh in my mind.
It's kind of an unfortunate reality of it, though.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, now it's going to be called Universal's Epic Universe, right?
It flows well. It looks like a haiku. Universe.
Universal's
Epic. Universe.
Universe. I I see it. Well, they haven't released anything beyond that. That's like literally all anyone can talk about. But you can speculate, and the speculation, Jordan, I don't know if you knew any of this stuff, but do you know what speculated lands are kind of going in this new theme park?
Yeah, I did take a look at the concept art that they've released, and it does look fairly interesting. That's the thing with concept art is it's very exciting, and it's like you see what it's supposed to look like, or what the imagination, or the imagine what it's supposed to look like, and it never quite looks exactly like the concept art. And it's like you see this concept art and this fantastical image, and all the water features, the fountains are piping up just at the right moment, and fireworks are going off, and it looks cool. But again, it's
it's so early too, right? So like that's the thing, is that, I mean, technically it's not. In reality, they probably could have given us a lot more information, but the concept art that they showed us is so early in the planning process that they tried to purposely keep things vague, because you can make a guess, because the one thing that's guaranteed is like Universal, Orlando, and Hollywood and Tokyo announced that they were building a Nintendo Land, and that happened forever ago. And so the Universal Studios Hollywood park they haven't even announced that yet, but like they've been building that section of the park that is going to be Nintendo Land for a long time.
Okay.
And that's not official. Like technically I shouldn't even be saying that because there's no official announcement, but there's a giant section of the park that is currently under construction that has an attraction that looks oddly similar to race car tracks. So you can guess that a Mario Kart attraction is going in. But what I'm getting at is the one thing on the concept art that you kind of see is there's a corner that looks an awful lot like Nintendo Land, and that's the only one that you can pretty much guarantee is going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of speculation about the other lands out there, and another cool one that we should talk about. Well, actually, I'll just go through what all of them are. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know the majority of them?
See, I've watched a few videos where there's the speculation of what each of them could be. And, I definitely have some things that have intrigued me a little more than any other ones.
Yeah. So that first lower left of the screen, you can kind of see, I mean, we're just excluding all the main hub stuff. So let's just pretend like all the water, like you talked about the water features and stuff, that'll be there in some form. But in the lower left, you have what it will eventually be Nintendo World or Nintendo Land. Or I'm guessing Nintendo Universe, because it's called Epic Universe, right? Yeah. Then in the lower right, you can see they've added a new dueling roller coaster, and a lot of the speculation surrounding that is that it will be a DreamWorks-themed How to Train Your Dragon Land.
I'm on board.
Which, I think the concept of that's cool. I'm wondering if How to Train Your Dragon is the right thing to make an entire land of. Would it almost have been better to do a DreamWorks universe and make multiple different DreamWorks properties in that land?
And that could work too. And I know How to Train Your Dragon is sort of geared towards families and all ages, but also a thrill ride, like a roller coaster.
Well, it'll be cool because Dueling Dragons just went away for the Hagrid roller coaster at Islands of Adventure. And so this is kind of the revival of Dueling Dragons.
Like
if it's a dragon-themed land plus a dueling roller coaster, yeah. But again, the concern for me is that How to Train Your Dragon kind of just ended. Like that franchise is finishing up its third episode. Why would they make it so that the themed land is a land that in theory we might not visit again on screen?
That's true.
Why wouldn't you want to give yourself some expansiveness, which is why they in my opinion, and it's not announced, maybe they are, but like that if they're doing a How to Train Your Dragon Land, it should really be a DreamWorks themed universe, right? So you could have anything, any new DreamWorks movie that comes out, you could, in theory, incorporate a new ride into.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of roller coasters, dueling roller coasters that could work with DreamWorks.
Well, How to Train Your Dragon is DreamWorks.
Oh, Bees fly. Bee Movie. So if Bee Movie ever makes a sequel, and they'll call it C Movie, and maybe it'll be about a race.
Hold on, wait a second. Do you think it's called B Movie because B is the letter of the alphabet, and thus the sequel will be called C Movie?
I knew it was called B Movie, but naturally my brain went to ABC.
Okay.
They wouldn't call it B movie 2.
They
They would call
would.
it to be or not to be movie.
That's better
Yeah.
than C movie.
It's wordy.
Anyway, it won't be a B movie. It'll be a How to Train Your Dragon roller coaster because that is in DreamWorks canon. That is the presumed lower right section. Then if you go above that, there is what looks to be an old sort of alleyway, which has a kind of cityscape concept.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone assumes this is what their Fantastic Beasts expansion would be, because obviously they're going to continue the Harry Potter property. Although I'm not sure, I mean, if they want them to be interconnected, like they've got the Hogwarts Express going between Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure and Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley, I wonder...
that would be a
if there's
huge
way that
undertaking.
Yeah. What would you even do?
Because those are...
Is it possible
They're pretty
even?
significantly far apart. They're like miles apart.
This new park? Yeah, very. It's much farther.
I just don't think... I mean, if they build it and it'd be fine. In the same way they build Avatar and it's fine and it doesn't have to be necessarily connected. But I don't know if Fantastic Beasts has the legs to support its own, especially when you have a very successful Harry Potter theme going on in both the parks already, and you take this franchise, which I've only seen 1.5 of the movies because I literally did not finish the second one. I just was not into it for whatever reason. And the first one wasn't bad, but thinking that they would put a whole franchise or a whole theme park land around this franchise does not excite me at all.
Well, they made the mistake. It's not really a mistake yet, but it was kind of a mistake to say that there were going to be 5 movies right out of the gate, because it's such a weird number.
Yeah.
To like segment stuff, and especially if you like you were just saying, if you've seen the second one, so little happens in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like important stuff. There's like maybe 2 revelation moments,
Okay.
but otherwise so little happens in that film that like ultimately it's not necessary. Like they probably could have done that plus something else in one movie.
Sure.
So my issue, I guess I agree with you. The only thing is there's so many more movies coming out that I think they think because there's more films coming out, it will have legs.
It could warrant
like
that.
it'll have an opportunity. But what ride are they going to build? They're not going to base it on something that's coming in the future, you know.
Well, if you look at the actual art, and I'm sure there's no like architectural like stability to this, but if you look at the concept art, that section has the biggest show building. Like that whole land is just a massive show building, and that excites me because that implies that they're going to need a lot of space for whatever they're working on inside there. If that's what's going to house an actual attraction, or if it's going to house more sets or shopping spaces or whatever that looks like.
I wonder if that's the route they'll go, is they'll essentially build, and none of this is confirmed, but they'll build like a Ministry of Magic style thing inside.
And that would be cool.
So where all the other lands were kind of outside and you'd had shops that you would go in and out of, this would be the first one where besides just a ride, you're actually going into an indoor themed area, like an indoor themed land. Yeah, that might be an interesting way to do it. Something different at least.
Mm-hmm. I'd almost prefer that over a specifically Fantastic Beast centered attraction. Just have it more in that world.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's probably a good way to go with it, but we'll have to see what ends up coming from that. In theory, it might not even be Fantastic Beasts, you know? Maybe they're creating a whole new Harry Potter area that we just haven't thought of.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they too are like, nope, let's ditch Fantastic Beasts.
Right. It's not working.
Anyway, then in the upper middle, you have the giant new hotel, in-theme park hotel, which I don't know how I feel about. It sort of makes it look like a Las Vegas destination. Not the hotel in general. The whole theme park sort of looks like, because the hotel's that big and it's in it, it sort of looks like it is part of the theme park. Like I'm trying to think of it, like it feels like you're getting gypped on theme park space because the hotel's taking up so much space.
It looks like it's supposed to be the Cinderella Castle, or it's supposed to be the spaceship Earth. It's supposed to be this iconic centerpiece. because it
Sure.
is the largest thing that you see in the
Yeah.
concept art. It's what your attention is drawn to first, and if that's what it's going to be in the real scheme of things, I don't know. I mean, I'm all for hotels on property, and I think it's awesome that if you stay there, you're going to be able to exit right into the park. But
Yeah.
it almost seems too big for its own good.
It's possible. We'll have to see. And then finally, the last section is the upper left here. You can see what is the supposed dark universe area of the park, which is the area that I am most excited for, which is the Universal's Classic Monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And again, none of this is confirmed, but a long, long time ago, something leaked online that implied that they were building in their new theme park, which was called Fantastic Worlds at the time. They were building a Universal Classic Monsters themed area that would feature a Dracula's castle, dark kind of maze walkthrough area, and some sort of, I mean, at the time it was like, everyone was running rampant with it, where it was like, there'll be a Creature of the Black Lagoon kind of jungle cruise ride. But like, that sounds so cool.
Yeah, it would be awesome. And
Yeah.
it's such like a, I mean, I know there's people in this day and age who appreciate that, but it's just like such a specific callback to a different era, and that's what appeals to me. It's like bringing that, I don't know if I can say it makes me nostalgic, because that was even way before my time, but it's just a period of filmmaking that it's going to be cool to see come alive in this section, if that's what it is.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think it's 100% what it is.
And one of the things that
think.
excites me the most, and this is totally my speculation that I'm just pulling out of thin air, but Universal also supported all of those Abbott and Costello monster movies. And I know that not Disney, Universal is very into the sort of the streetmosphere kind of performers, where they'll have the people talking, and I just imagine there's a lot of room for comedic performances, sort of people channeling those Abbott and Costello, Frady Cat kind of in the haunted house. So I hope there's a section where they can sort of, pay homage to that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a cool idea. Do you think they would actually do that, though?
If you had asked me a year ago, would they build a whole theme park land towards the classic monsters, I would have said no. That's not lucrative at this point, but
yeah,
there's people who appreciate those.
Anyway, I think based on the photo, that is the gist of this new theme park, and we don't have any official announcements. We don't have even a time frame of when it will open. Just that construction is underway. That they've already have they even officially broken ground? Like they have. We've seen Earth move already.
Yeah, I know that they're leveling, or if they haven't, I don't think anything's like going up. I think it's just getting the land ready for whatever's coming up.
Yeah, so a shovel has not gone into the ground yet, saying the official.
I'm sure at some point a shovel has gone up, but there hasn't been like an official ceremony.
Like ceremony?
Where
that
they
makes sense.
Grab the dirt and say, hey, the epic universe begins now. Maybe they'll do that. There'll be like some pyrotechnic of some sort. The NBA experience opened in Disney Springs yesterday.
Is that how we're going to transition?
Well, I'm just thinking of opening ceremonies, because they live streamed it, and it was the most awkward thing I had ever seen.
Now is that in the old Disney Quest building?
Yeah.
So this is the first time it's been publicly open since
Correct.
they shut down Disney Quest?
Correct. Okay. And I'm no epic fan or huge fan of the NBA, so this idea doesn't fully appeal to me, but I guess it's like this full like interactive playground, kind of similar in Disney Quest style, but it's got a very basketball centered focus. But this opening day ceremony, they had like the hip hop dancers come out, and then suddenly Mickey and Minnie were there and in their basketball uniforms, and they were like doing like the hip hop dance, like what's going on? And it was the Mickey that blinked, and he was like blinking at the weirdest times, and then they had Bob Iger come out, and he was talking next to the commissioner, and then they just had all these basketball players come out and stand on stage, and they were like, and it's open. And that was it.
Man, did you watch the Galaxy's Edge opening with Iger?
I didn't, but I heard about it.
What I'm getting at is Iger was like stranded up there as the thing started going south. And it sounds like this NBA thing is a similar situation.
Yeah, he sort of came and did clean up at the end there, but it is what it is.
The dude's a good guy and he knows how to manage a business, but he is not Michael Eisner in terms of showmanship.
That's true. Michael Eisner wanted to be Walt Disney.
He would never have been.
Correct.
But gosh darn it, if you remember growing up and watching Sunday night Disney movie, and he would do the intros, you would get excited when he came on screen. That's right.
He meant Disney. And like, he was the Disney, and he was like at the beginning of all the VHSs and the clamshells. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he might have been, I don't know, like a lot of people don't like him, but maybe it's childhood nostalgia, but I still I would get giddy.
I like what he represented.
Yeah.
He did. He represented a lot of progress, at least on the surface.
Correct.
And that's all. Maybe that's all we need to know.
Mm-hmm. His showmanship was Walt Disney caliber.
Exactly.
Everything else was questionable.
That's right.
But California Adventure's really coming together now, so they're really starting to figure it out.
Yeah, it's just
everything's going to be
a big speed bump.
Mm-hmm.
And now you brought up California Adventure.
Oh, yeah. So if you didn't know, Avengers Land is coming. That'll be a new addition in 2020 at California Adventure. It's replaced Bugs Land, what used to be Bugs Land, and this will be added in that location, as well as officially connected to Guardians of the Galaxy. So that will start to feel like a more complete area.
Marvel area.
Yeah. This was the ultimate decision when they decided to switch over Tower of Terror to Guardians of the Galaxy. This is ultimately where we were going anyway. So here we are, and D23 is coming up in a couple weeks, and so everyone is assuming we'll have a lot of big announcements, which we'll talk about D23 in a couple seconds. Yeah. But one thing that recently leaked was a image of the new layout of the Avengers Land, of DCA's Avengers Land.
That's right.
And it kind of shows how everything sort of is laid out and looks, and gives you an idea of the attractions that are coming. Now, mind you, this has never been officially confirmed by Disney, but this is pretty accurate, like a really accurate,
It looks like it fits in right. And this was reported on by our friends over at DisneylandToday.net. They did a really great write-up of what we're looking at here, and so I'm assuming we have this concept art, or it's not even concept art, but we have this idea of where everything's going to be fitting in here, and it looks like a majority of this space is going to be covered by this upcoming Spider-Man attraction.
Yes, and so the Spider-Man attraction will be the big e-ticket ride that kind of opens the whole thing, and that was the first thing that was really officially announced anyway.
Right.
And there was a piece of concept art that leaked for that a couple weeks ago as well. And again, Disney hasn't confirmed if that was what it was from, but you can, if you read between the lines, that looks pretty professionally Disney-style drawn concept art.
Sure.
Yeah.
But as you see in this concept art, there is these really boxy-looking vehicles, and we know that this ride, at least it's been hinted at that this is going to feature all brand new technology that you're actually going to feel like you're swinging with Spider-Man. And I look at this and I'm like thinking, I don't know if that's the best. I don't know if that's the format that I would have chosen to achieve this effect that they're going after, but who knows?
They did do, at one point a long time ago, when this was all first announced, there was like a patent. Like sometimes it'll come across the internet and they'll reveal what patents Disney or Universal recently put out there. Well, there was a patent that came out, I think a year ago, maybe even more than that showed what looked like a swinging attraction, like a swinging car. And it's always been rumored, because if you look at the size of the Spider-Man attraction, it's not a roller coaster, but it's been rumored that it's kind of like a web slinger style Toy Story Midway Mania arcade game ride. And so the thought process was, well, while you're going through, maybe it'll be on a swinging rod, and that'll make it a more exciting version of Buzz Lightyear, Astro Blasters, or Midway Mania. But I don't know what happened to that, because if you look at this concept art, unless it does happen to work out where those cars start swinging like this, it certainly doesn't look like they'll be doing that. But yeah, it will be well, at least the rumor is, and I'm sure we'll hear a lot about this at D23, is that it will be a attraction that does kind of
Mimic
give
that.
you the feel exactly the feeling of web slinging. I think the other thing about it too is if you notice on the front of it, it kind of looks like they have a glass screen, and a lot of people are speculating that what might be the new technology that they're talking about is actually an augmented reality kind of version of a ride. So glassesless 3D.
That would be
so
something.
you might so the screen would project kind of what you need to give you that 3D element along with what's on the other side of the screen.
Okay.
Which would be an interesting way to do it.
Yeah.
Pending that works out that way.
That works well.
But that is the attraction that will open this Avengers Land in 2020. They haven't announced if it's in summer yet. I'm hoping because our annual passes will go through 2020 in the summer. But that will be the original opening. Then the next thing will be a lot of just immersive style Avengers Land in general. You've seen some of the concept art that kind of show the Quinjet up above it, which is like one of those Avengers planes that they have, and then stuff like that. But the other big, not even attraction, and you know what? Remind me, we're going to get back into this. I'm going to explain the land, but then we're going to talk about an issue that Disney currently has, and it's in relation to Galaxy's Edge and this forthcoming Avengers Land. So we're gonna come back to this moment. Yeah. All right. So the other elements in this land is going to be a Doctor Strange stage show, which will be I'm assuming, a cool use of just different theater effects to give you all the different mystic art stuff that he kind of does.
And that'll be awesome.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, it's a great idea. It's a good idea to just an air-conditioned, indoor-style show. And I think based on just in general, I think a lot of people will enjoy that. That's a great idea for this land. The next area that they're doing is an Ant-Man micro brewery. Yep. Real solid.
Yeah.
So it's this Ant-Man microbrewery, which is a great idea for DCA, just because alcohol is an option over there, and it is part of. I mean, the California vibe and stuff that a lot of the areas give off is like having a beer and just kind of perusing the land. You don't get annihilated at Disneyland, but you go to like just kind of chill and like have a good time, and it's kind of an interesting concept for them to put into this land, and that is actually what will be recycling the old kind of Bugs Life bathroom area.
Okay.
So that is where that is going, and it's kind of recycling that old building to kind of make it work. So
they'll still have the toilets and all this stuff in there, and the soundtrack.
Take that out. Yeah. So someday you can say that you are having a drink in the same place that you used to go to the bathroom.
It's a circle of life.
That's an interesting. Yeah, it's true. And then as of right now, for the new edition, that is Avengers Land. That's Avengers Land Phase 1.
And it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of room for incredible expansion. Well, I guess there is that parking lot right there.
And that is what is going to be Phase 2.
Okay.
So when they did the original announcement, they said Phase 2, and this is the more exciting phase, is a fully themed Avengers roller coaster, and it isn't just a land element, it will take up that parking lot.
Okay.
So you will have a large... My guess, if I had to guess, is what they're doing with Guardians right now in Epcot.
Okay.
That will probably be a very similar thing that will come over here, and that will be the Avengers roller coaster. So, I mean,
cool.
It'll be a different theming of it, because obviously you can't have Guardians
with similar ride
Guardians.
system.
Exactly. But if you look at the size of that parking lot, and you've seen the Guardians building,
it is massive. Like,
yeah.
I could not believe how huge it was.
Yeah. So you can kind of get because that's all they have announced for that additional section. So you can kind of get the mindset of like that will be their other big attraction.
Yeah.
But that hasn't been announced yet. You could assume 2021, but it could even go beyond that of when that will actually open. And all that being said, that leads me to the point that we're coming back to. When Disney tore down Bugs Land, how many attractions were in Bugs Land? I know they're for kids, but how many kids' attractions were there?
There was 4. There's Flix Flyers. There was the Bumper Ladybugs. There was the Heimlich Choo-Choo Train. Yeah. There was... I feel like we're missing one.
Was there like a tumbling bug thing, or did they...
Gosh, we're missing one.
Oh no, Tough to Be a Bug.
Oh, yeah.
The big one.
The main attraction.
Yeah. And so you had 4 big attractions
Yeah.
in Bugs Land, and you've replaced it with 1. Like, you can make an argument that maybe the Doctor Strange show will be similar to It's Tough to Be a Bug, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it is something like that. But for the most part, the Spider-Man attraction is the only attraction that's over there now when that opens. And especially because if that Spider-Man attraction is just a web slinger shooter, you're not, like, making grand progress with these lands. It's starting to become more about, and I know people criticize it for being a glorified mall now, but it is starting to be about this immersion over entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the land itself is the attraction, and
Right.
everything else inside of it is just a plus to the attraction. And maybe that's okay with some stuff, but that doesn't take up, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it. Having gone to Galaxy's Edge a couple times now, it hasn't worn off yet how cool that land is, but it definitely feels like it's now part of the park.
Right.
And it's not like it was before, where you were walking into a new area and this was this unique new land and everything in there was like amazing. Now it's kind of like it's been set up where you could in theory use it as a shortcut to get over to Critter Country and Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
And it functions that way and it feels that way. So it's a cool area to walk through, but it's definitely become an area to walk through.
It's where you go through to get to Smuggler's Run.
Exactly. And the thing about Smuggler's Run is that after you've done that a couple times, it starts to get a little, for lack of a better word, like they haven't done another mission. It's still the one same mission they've had. So it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Because you've done it over and over again.
Right,
And so and this isn't taking anything away from anybody who hasn't done Galaxy's Edge yet. When you're going to go, you haven't been yet. When you go, you will love Smuggler's Run.
It's going to blow my mind.
And you will love the land. Yeah, the whole thing's amazing. I'm not like saying, oh, it sucks now because I'm used to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is going to, it has gotten...
You want there to be activities in these places.
Yes.
It's cool to marvel in the things that you're looking at, but also you want that to serve a purpose other than just it's pretty to look at and take my picture with. You want to have the experience.
Well, if you're not going to do a thrill ride, you have to have variety to your ride. So Star Tours is fun because it has multiple different scenarios in it.
Mm-hmm.
And when Star Tours just does the sequel trilogy stuff, so Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and it did that for like a couple months where it was just the same, you sort of got bored with Star Tours because you've done that over and over again.
Right.
So it needs the variety to it. Once Falcon starts implementing those different kind of variety things, it might avoid all this, that it might come back to, well, it's different enough that it's enjoyable. What I'm getting at, though, is like no ride is set up where Big Thunder is thrilling enough that you can ride it multiple times and it's still fun each time you ride it.
Yeah.
And I worry that with stuff like this, when you only have one attraction in it, and I guess you could say Guardians is technically a part of Avengers Land, but that's been there.
Yeah.
But when you only have one attraction like this, is it enough? Will people be happy if this is the future of theme parks?
Just sort of the marquee attraction in a bigger
an immersive
set.
an immersive land. Like, but maybe, think to Cars Land. Cars Land's still great.
And it is. But you also have 3 different attractions in there. And granted, 2 of those are much lesser than their main attraction. But I think, personally, I would always, and maybe because I haven't experienced the immersion of Galaxy's Edge, or really, I haven't even been over to Harry Potter Land at Universal, and I know that was sort of a big immersive set here, but I would always think, in my mind right now, I think I would always choose more attractions over a more immersive setting. It's like...
I think I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I think I'm the same way. Because attractions at the end of the day are what... It's so hard to say, because like Galaxy's Edge, everyone talks about Galaxy's Edge, and I talked about Galaxy's Edge a ton.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that is what I would keep talking about, is the attractions in Galaxy's Edge as time goes on.
Right.
And I don't know if like I've done Savi's already, like.
But that's also not something that's available to everybody. That's
correct.
I think Rise of the Resistance, when that actually that's going to open up a lot more doors for, because that seems to be like it's going to be the signature attraction of not only Galaxy's Edge, but like of Disneyland in its current state right now.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think that's going to open up a lot of opportunities, ignite the spark.
I'm sure I'll be very excited for Avengers Land when it starts up. It's just right now when you look at this concept art, you're like, cool, that looks cool, but then like everything starts to fade away, and you start to be like, oh, that's right, like,
yeah,
I'm gonna go wait 3 hours in line to ride the Spider-Man attraction.
More than half of this space is occupied by shops.
Correct.
And so I think that's while it's an important aspect to theme park dumb or whatever, but there's plenty of places to buy. There's a whole downtown Disney literally right outside. And so that can be where they focus on merchandise, focus on attractions, and giving people the best bang for their buck inside there.
Yeah. No, agreed. Well, we'll have to see when it all gets announced at D23 in just a couple weeks.
Coming soon.
D23 is August 23rd through the 25th.
So it'll be over in 2 weeks. It is the 13th, so we got 10 days.
Oh, man. 10 days till D23 starts up. I wish we were going.
It seems it's a bucket list thing to go to D23. One of these days.
We almost went and then decided financially it wasn't a good decision to do that right now.
That's probably the right decision to make.
Yeah. But there will be a lot of big news coming out of D23. Probably, for sure, they will announce Marvel stuff. We'll probably for sure be learning these specifics we talked about today in an official capacity for Marvel Land. Or, I'm sorry, I don't even think you can call it Marvel Land, because technically Universal currently owns the rights to Marvel.
What is it? East of the Mississippi.
East of the Mississippi. Yeah.
What a weird stipulation.
I know.
But I get it.
And it's even weirder than that, because it's like, technically they can use elements like Guardians of the Galaxy and I believe Black Panther.
Okay.
But like, for some reason those ones are allowed, but other ones are not.
That is so weird.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, D23 is coming up. And by the time it finishes, or very shortly after, we will be up for another Ponderland podcast.
That's right.
So
we have to talk a lot about. Are there any things that you've heard predicted that you think might be announced?
There's a lot that's predicted.
That's right.
I mean, what we know is that Tomorrowland in Disneyland is overdue for an expansion or a refresh. So we know that is potentially on the table. Sorry, did I say Tomorrowland? That was Fantasyland. Fantasyland is in store for either an expansion or a refresh. So
really?
That's on the table. Yes.
I would think I would think Tomorrowland more than Fantasyland.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Was the other big thing is Tomorrowland is on the table for a full refurb. So a complete, as far as it could be torn down to the ground, only Space Mountain survives, and then they rebuild it back up. Because people forget that the People Mover is so structurally built into that entire land that in order to remove that track, and everyone's like, well, restore it, but that track is so beyond restoring.
It's just as hard to restore as it is to
They have their opportunity. It's so beyond restoring that once they start tearing down that track, they're gonna find structural problems all over that place. So it is gonna make more sense to level the entire land, minus Space Mountain, and start from scratch.
That'd be so insane.
I know, but it's not announced. None of that's official, but it could happen. So that's something that's kind of out there. And those are the two big things for me. And to be honest, if I had to predict what's going to be announced, it's going to be Tomorrowland. They're going to announce a massive Tomorrowland overhaul.
That would be something. And I agree that it's sort of in need of some help, and it kills me to think that there's just the slight trace of hope that maybe the People Mover could at some point be restored, that would dash those hopes. But maybe they would be a part of the new expansion.
That's what I was going to say. Do you think it's out of the question that they add it? That they add a new one? They don't restore the old one. That when they build this new land, they put in a new I mean, there's no reason not to call it the People Mover,
Yeah.
but if for some reason it feels like sacred ground that they can't go down that way, why not call it do the Tomorrowland Transit Authority and just bring
There
it
you go.
in an upgraded element? I mean, isn't that the whole point of that land is kinetic energy?
Yeah. No,
So
it
that
needs it.
movement is constantly going to be what will bring it together. So why not add that element? Why not, if you're completely rebuilding it, why not build that into it again?
I like it.
So that's the big one. The bigger question is what happens to the lagoon.
So I think it would kill me to see it go, and I hope, because that's what they did in Disney World. The Disney World version, they filled it with cement and they built Little Mermaid on top of it, and that lagoon so like
that was in Fantasyland, right?
It was.
Okay.
And I don't know. There's just something so iconic about that space. I think there's definitely a way that you could make a more modern submarine ride.
Sure.
They don't have to make a new fleet that's more efficient, and make it more of an exciting ride. Make it more Tomorrowland-esque rather than, because Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage belongs in Fantasyland. And you could argue that it could technically still be a part of Fantasyland because it's still sort of right on the brim there. But
that's always been the debate too, right? Because like technically Matterhorn's in Tomorrowland as well.
Yeah.
And that like is weird because Matterhorn also doesn't belong in Fantasyland.
It is sort of its own thing.
Yeah. Is there anything you are predicting for D23 before we start wrapping it up?
So we got all the Disney World announcements as far as East Coast things. I think we're going to finally be getting a lot of actual dates and maybe even a little bit of ride footage for. I know Epcot's got the Ratatouille ride coming. I bet we see a little bit more, maybe even a name for the Guardians ride. Get a time frame of releases for that as well. There's a lot of rumors that they might finally add another pavilion to the World Showcase. Brazil is the country I keep hearing. So whatever that looks like, I hope whatever pavilion they add, they have some sort of attraction that goes along with it, and that it's not just, hey, here's more Brazilian themed shops, which is cool to walk around in, but give me an attraction. I want an attraction. I bet we'll get some Tron updates. I mean, they're saying 50 new things, 50 new updates for
the 50th
anniversary, and I think a majority of that is going to be happening in Epcot. And so we know that whole Innoventions building's going down, and they're building new things there. You got that play pavilion and the Old Wonders of Life pavilion that's going to sort of incorporate all these other things. And so I think we're just going to get a little more light shed on all of those other things. Oh, and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which that's
right.
also affecting Disneyland. So I bet we get some sizable news on that for both coasts as well. Maybe even some actual ride footage of that, because that should be pretty close to testing phases.
Well, fingers crossed for an announcement.
And they have an hour and a half to do this all. Have you looked at the schedule for what the weekend's going to look like?
I didn't look at it, but I watched another video where they posted that there's like a mystery thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like the super secret Disney company project. And so I feel like that's a lot of hype for whatever, something probably.
It's going to be disappointing. It's going to be, people are going to be like, that panel's going to be crazy packed, and it's going to be like Josh Gad is going to come out and be like, you guys want to watch a trailer for Frozen 2? And it's going to be like, oh.
That's what it is. We've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
Super secret. But it is a little mysterious, so that also has my intrigue.
Well, we'll be watching, and we'll report all about it in the next Ponderland podcast.
We're definitely going to have a pretty decent follow-up to all the news that comes out of that.
The D23
The D23 podcast of the Ponderland world.
Pondering D23.
This is the Ponderland Podcast, sponsored by Diet Coke.
Nope. Nope, we are not. We are not sponsored by Diet Coke.
We are brought
Pepsi
to you
for
this
that
week
matter.
by Florida Tap Water. It's fresh and icy. when you put ice in it.
All right, thanks guys for watching.
Yeah. It's time to wrap it up.
That's right. And
it's been a great evening here with you, Joey from Happy Place Explorers. And
you as well, Jordan. I thought you were closing us out. It's been very fun talking to you as well.
It has been.
From Happy Place East.
Happy Place
which
East
is representing 3.
Is that an E? Wait, no.
It might be. But
this
I'm
might be a
what
gang sign. Yeah.
We
are not affiliated with any gangs. We just wish to be affiliated with Diet Coke, the fresh maker. Wait, no, that's Mentos.
You can't mix those together either.
That's right. The recipe for literal explosion.
Yeah. Anyway, let's say goodbye to everybody and go to bed.
That sounds like a great idea. So, it's been great talking with you. Until next time, we'll see you in the happy place.
Why do you slow it down?
Because you were slowing down. Okay.
In the happy place. Ready?
Till next time, we'll see you in the happy place.
In the happy place.
You slowed down. This is a disaster.
My earbud came out.
Okay.
My earbud.
Why is this always such a struggle?
We'll do our best.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.